Hi YouTube, I hope you're doing good. I'm doing all right. I'm gonna share Jay from Days of Noah with you. He's talking about uh, the onset of digital um, sexuality, and that's kind of what I'm gonna talk about in a sense, is where people's minds are like, and how vulnerable kids are nowadays, and people that are very tolerant. My question for that is your moral value like a double-minded thing? Like your moral compass, is it double-minded in these times? What value on a scale from 1 to 10, where would you place your moral compass for the kids? I'm not talking about adult entertainment. I'm talking about what this world is doing to the children. So that's it's a really big deal. This probably won't be a very long video. I had accidentally turned my drive off in my settings. I'm just pushing buttons, cleaning it, and I'm like, okay. So I had to reset all my apps and then take ones off that I don't need, so I had more space. But so anyway, yeah, I'm having sort of a goofy day like that. It's cloudy and gloomy, and I did get my exercises done, so I feel good about myself like that. But yeah, just kind of I have kind of not a really weighty feeling about the day. I mean, I'm happy. It's just a laid back day, I guess, is really. And I thought I'd get on here and tell you all I love you and happy weekend, and just share a really good, thoughtful link. And it's about, at this point, about 2.5 hours long right now. But this guy has studied psychology and engineering, and he doesn't just talk. He definitely like works out, and he's into martial arts, and he's like real active, um God loving man. And that's the bottom line right there for me. That's the biggest criteria right there, um and yeah, it does matter who a person calls God. I'm not gonna say everything goes. It does not. There's one God, one true God, the Almighty, and anybody else that calls themselves God is a liar. And I'm not talking about cultures that call their God somebody else, like the Great Spirit or whoever. Of course, there are some derogatory terms for the Baphomet, or what I would call derogatory towards Christians, and that's, to, like, a lot of people actually still to this day think that, um, although Christ is the Messiah for the Jews, Jesus was not Jewish. And a lot of people confuse that. They're like, he came for the Gentiles. Uh, those are the lost tribes, basically. They're the people with God in their heart, and he adopted them into his family out of love. So it's like the greatest adoption story, the greatest love story in the world is Christ taking energy to put in these times right now for us. So while this world is tumultuous, we can still have some semblance of sanity
We got this
in
ironic
us, you
culture
know.
where no one's serious.
So,
Everything's a damn joke. Everything is so
yeah, I
funny.
think you're really gonna appreciate what Jay is saying. I
Nah,
mean,
some things just ain't cool, man.
about
Maybe let
about
me.
on the same level, and
Some
then he
things are
goes
just
into some other things about different movies and things
sometimes
that
we make
conditioned people
excuses to do
his
things
age,
that
or
we
even
know
I
are not
can
good for
remember
us, but we
things
make excuses.
that were trying to sexually condition me in my era.
Also,
Lucky for me, I never thought I really had the spirit or what it took to be like what they call a Susie homemaker,
it's
you
not right
know.
now, man.
But in all reality, that would be everything that I learned to do in my life
Stream is done.
was
Whatever it is,
exactly
we need to
just
do.
for
Moderation.
that.
I like that, Marcel.
Um,
Moderation.
not just a
Because for some
homemaker,
people,
but
if you
a
try to stop cold
builder.
turkey, it'll kill you.
But yeah, I went to extremes in a lot of things in my life because I kind of had to. But in some ways, I'm happy about it, and some I'm not too thrilled. I mean, let's put it this way: if I were doing woodworking, I would rather have like a wood lay and design furniture, you know, and have like a jigsaw and, you know, a table saw. Well, we have one, but I mean, just like all the cool tools, you know, that a person would need instead of I've had to frame up a house in my life or whatever, you know, more than one time I've built. Barb the Builder, you know, Doug the Destructo. No, thought somebody might get a laugh out of that. But
believers, sometimes we can be that way because
yeah,
we know.
I didn't necessarily want to, but I'm glad I learned how. You know,
So it's almost as if we
so
have a harder
they
experience
just found
with
out
dealing
that
with
my
these
hammer
versus
might weigh a couple
just know.
ounces less, but I
We
know
know
how to
better.
use it.
But we are
So,
no better than anyone else. So we'll
and it wouldn't make any difference, you know. So yeah, they found out. Who say, oh yeah, all these men that thought they were competing with me, you know.
struggle
So
too.
that's who they are.
Cold turkey for some people.
They get a kick out of changing
It works just
the
fine.
scriptures and the numbers and their persona and even acting like a Baphomet just so they can say they are the bride of Christ, you know. Don't you women find that funny? If you look at that part of your spouse or a loved one or somebody that you loved, that was your other half through God, and now, you know, these people are like, let's just mix it all together, and that's what God is, you know. And they have no absolute clue. In fact, biology says everything absolutely opposite, you know. So there's definitely two types of personalities out here. It's not really even a mixture of different people are all different. There's one or the other. So that reminds me, it's called spelt, like spelling, or there's a wheat that is grown in Russia, and years ago I was out in Montana. There's great wheat fields out there, and there was some Russian scientists. Um, they were, let me see if I can remember the right term for these people. They were, I can't remember which ology they were. It might come to me, but anyway. So these people, these scientists, were out on these ranches talking to ranchers around, and the one that I had worked with at this point, and they were developing a thing called spelt that actually wasn't even a grain of wheat, and it was huge. It was like about 3 to 4 times larger than your actual regular grain of wheat. The only problem with that is, and it was okay for like finishing off livestock and but as far as grinding into a wheat, the nutrient value were almost non-existent. That in comparison to a regular grain of wheat. So they started hybrid breeding these things for higher yields. At that time, back in those days, the FDA had outlawed it in our country. With the shortage of wheat that is coming upon us because of what our government is doing to us, saying they hate Russia all along. You just watch what Russia and China's gonna do, and Ukraine with their wheat fields, and with the price of wheat and flour that's going to be coming in the future. If you thought, thinking you were going to buy gas from Russia felt bad, just wait till they're eating loaves of bread that you don't have any, because the people that are lining their pockets very deeply with all of these things that are going on, shortages of fertilizers and all these things, that they have these little problem action solution Hungarian dialect type of things going on continuously. It's like the bully that'll beat you up and then kiss you a week later and shake your hand, then beat you up in another few days. It's kind of like that type of scenario with this all. The point is the wheat that's going to be out in this world, I have a feeling isn't actually going to be what people think it is. Not only is it highly bleached, and they say enriched. Why would you have to anyway enrich something that was naturally nutritious? And a lot of people don't realize that really eating whole grains is sometimes harder on your system, but you'll find that out with age. No matter what people say, your body will tell you what to eat. Not the snacky things like, oh, I want a Hershey bar, and I really do, and I don't have one, and it's a good thing because I would eat it today, but I'm not going to have any sugar. And it's been a couple days. I had a bowl of ice cream a couple days ago, so I'm not going to be having anything again. So now I've got it down, my sugar, I've got down to about once a week. And that's what I used to do too, like on Saturdays or Sundays. Friday night, maybe have a treat, or not at all. I went a long time in my life with hardly no sugar at all. If I could avoid it, almost a solid 20 years. But yeah. So really, that's about all that's on my mind today. I just thought I'd share this video and my thoughts on people's laxness in what constitute family values to keep a sound, safe family, and what we really need to do and say to make that so in life, and not back down on how we feel about our moral standing. And, for the double-minded people of this world, and they agree with that, that's fine. I'm not calling it liberal or conservative. I'm calling it Christ or Antichrist. You're either for families or you are not for families. And that's what the Christ Spirit is all about. And you can believe what you want. That doesn't mean if you're a child out there or even homosexual or whatever that you're not loved by God. This isn't a part of the issue. I'm talking about the vulnerability of children and families. And if you can't get beyond your own egos and your own conditioning to protect the children, I don't know what you're doing with your life and what you're good for. So you tell me what you're good for. Are you double-minded with your
Yeah,
moral
if you're
compass,
any addictions,
or are
really
you
good.
spot on when you go out in
I do
public
understand alcohol.
around little kids? You're going to be that righteous leader that's walking tall for them. Not mean at any little discretion, or that's not even where it's going with that, but where the children would certainly look in your eyes and see a stable, sane person. And I know there's plenty of young people that are glad they met me for that reason. Older people too. I did have, not that I know that I believe them, but Doug said I fell for you because I was talking about the Nephilim. I said, well, if that's actually true, I would give you my hand and help you back up. And I walked in my room. So, but people don't fall for other people. They fall out of greed and selfishness and whatever their insecurities or lusts or whatever they are at that time. So, all right, everybody, thank you for joining me. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your weekend. I love you. Peace and love from Pine City, Minnesota, USA. Have a good night or day wherever you're at.